What's going on, New Fighting Order fans? Your co-host, Alex Lexus and Nelson Rios, coming at you with another installment of our weekly podcast, normally set for Thursdays, but we also do some random stuff on Tuesdays. And we're the topic of today, the PS4, and this is a response video to what Sony had, put on display for the PS4 announcement. Now, I mean, there's some good things that I was kind of interested in, and mainly like the specs. But right now, it's mainly about the content, and what Sony is going to deliver, if they'll be able to deliver it by the time the launch of the system. So, Nelson, I'm gonna give you the floor first. What was your reaction? What were some highlights, or some high points, low points with Sony's not true unveiling, but it was almost like a teaser to what's supposed to be coming in the pipeline?
Well, from what I gathered in news, that this only supposed to be like a software presentation of what the PlayStation 4 is supposedly capable of doing. Now, if you guys looked on here, whether if you're watching the stream or watching this on YouTube, the specs is right on the bottom of me and Alex, so you guys will be able to check out the Sony PlayStation 4 specs. But the highlight of the whole conference will have to be Killzone 4, or just whatever version of the game is being called, Killzone 4 and Diablo 3. That both of those just took me away. I'm a huge Diablo 3 fan, knowing that it can now be supported and played on console. That's a good thing. I always wanted something of that. And the fact that how they're trying to get very creative in trying to get companies that hasn't really done gaming in a while to actually come on board and change up everything and make it better. So hopefully they keep what they promise. And there's another thing. The streaming functionality. That kind of made me weird and excited at the same time. Let me explain. It's weird because of the fact that, one, they said that you can have over the view look of your partner's game of what they're playing or spectating. One, to me, that's invasion of privacy. And two, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a gray area. That's a gray area, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I didn't mean to cut you off, Nelson. I'm pretty sure that function that the PS4 and what Sony is planning to deliver, they have to have some way to turn that feature on and off. If it's something where they can always see what you're playing, if you go into a room or whatever, I mean, it's almost as if they're trying to take the party system and take it to another level that Xbox Live had made good on, and have people watching what you're playing. I think it's an interesting idea, but I mean, you have to. They didn't really explain if you can turn that function on and off. Is that fair to say, Nelson?
Yeah, they have yet to speak on it because, like I said, they just showed it prior the other day. So we really don't know what to expect. But I am kind of excited because now this allows a whole new opportunity of gamers to be able to screen or screen capture their game and show it to a wide view of their audience. Thing is, we don't know if this is only going to be a PlayStation 4 streaming server, so where you have to be a PlayStation 4 member to watch the stream, or will it collaborate with Ustream, Twitch TV, and the other streaming sites that is out there?
Well, it looked like when we saw the logos for Ustream. Okay, now it's no secret that Microsoft is in bed with Twitch TV, so it looked like, some people might say, "Hey, Alex Lexus, you're being a naysayer." No, I think Microsoft had been working on that very idea with Twitch TV, because remember, the app is supposed to come out on Xbox Live, right?
That's true.
And it looks like somehow, insiders, they had a mole, and Sony was smart to announce this first, because now the fanboys are going to say, well, Microsoft is stealing from Sony. You know what I mean? I bet you both companies were working on that same idea. As a matter of fact, Twitch TV with Call of Duty Black Ops 2 already does what they're planning on delivering with the PlayStation 4. And hell, even on this Twitch TV channel, I had some of my Call of Duty, matches or some. I mean, even though they still need to work on it a bit, it still can be done. PlayStation 3 was doing it with their version of Call of Duty. It's cool. I'm glad that they're spreading it across all games. So that may open like you said, Nelson, it might open the possibility to stream a lot easier as opposed to having to have special equipment, having to have the black magic, having to capture card, Roxio, and all that. And if the system can mitigate having so much equipment, that's a smart thing to go by. What do you think, Nelson?
Yeah, that would definitely be a smart route for them. Even though like now what Sony is basically doing is what Xbox 360 has already done with the social media aspect of everything. They're trying to bring more of a casual, hardcore, whatever type of community brought it together, just like how Nintendo normally does their call outs and stuff like that. So they're just trying to bring everyone in together as an all purpose console now. Because Sony, honestly, they tried it on the PS3 and it failed. 360 took over, dominated, they went through it, and they're still leading with that. So, like I said, this is a good opportunity to make me change my mind about Sony. I was on Sony when PlayStation 1 came out in 97, and I have my PlayStation 1 and 2 and 3 right here, but they're not played no more because I have more interest in the Xbox 360 now. So I hope with all this shit, hopefully Sony could change my mind. Hopefully.
Well, and yeah, not to cut you off, Nelson. Before I jump into one other topic on for Sony, there was something that struck me in their presentation where they were saying that they want to make the entire library from PlayStation 1 all the way up to PlayStation 3 and maybe even PlayStation 4. They want the content, the game library to be available on like, mobile or just, I mean, I don't know how they are going to handle backwards compatibility in the PlayStation 4. But
Mm-hmm.
do you remember that particular segment where they're talking about making the entire library available for play? And I'm like, that's a tall order because they couldn't get it done right. I mean, the first batch of PS3s that came out, that was the best one. It had all the ports and everything. It somewhat delivered on what they were, putting out there at their E3 presentation back in the day when the PlayStation 3 was being announced.
Right.
But to say that you're gonna have those libraries available for play, via online or on the PlayStation 4, that's a tall order. They better deliver on that. Because that's something that I like to hold people to the fire. That would be if they pull it off. Good job, Sony. Good job. But don't. I hope they don't start promising things that they're gonna start scaling back. Like for instance, like with the Linux OS being able to be installed into the PlayStation 3, and then you renege, you pull that out, you change the terms of service or user agreement. You know what I mean? Like if you're saying you're gonna put it out there, make sure you follow through, Sony. That's all I'm looking for. But you know, moving on real quick, let's talk controllers. The DualShock 4. All right. Now, originally, I was saying to myself, why don't they use the PlayStation Vita as the controller for PlayStation 4? I mean, I have a Vita. I don't ordinarily support Sony like that, but I picked that system up. Which Sony, you need to support that fucking system. The Vita has a lot of potential, and you're letting the DS kick you in the fucking ass. Like, support your fucking product. Bottom line. But the Vita, I don't know why they don't just use that as the controller. What do you think, Nelson?
I mean, it's very likely that they are going to use the controller as the PlayStation Vita because you can already do that with the PlayStation 3 with a remote access play. It's more or less the same thing. You can use it. And they say the same thing like if you used to play like Marvel Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or if you used to play Street Fighter Cross Tekken, you can use the actual Vita as a controller. So it is definitely
Yeah,
possible.
and not only that, with the touchscreen functionality, I mean, what the Wii U it is delivering in a tech, well, according to Nintendo, a next gen console, they can do the same thing, like have a double screen and have features embedded on the touch screen on your Vita, and then you have the big screen for something else. You know what I'm saying? So Sony has something good in their hands. They need to really explore their options a little more, because my disappointment is the fact that they are staying safe. They're staying in the box. The controller design is still reminiscent of PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of boring. Try something different. Try something different. I like the new triggers though. I'm liking that. But I mean, what are your thoughts on the new controller, Nelson?
It basically, like you said before, it just looks the same. It's just with like a little TV from what it looks like to me. It looks like a little monitor. I don't know if they stole like a kind of basic concept of the Wii U in a sense, but they might try to integrate it to a point where it's you could do something with the little screen and a little bit with the big screen at the same time in motion. But they're keeping the same look with all their Sony products. It's always been the same shape, the same color, the same model. So I really don't see like a huge difference with it. But I have no problems with it. I have a PlayStation 3 controller. I never had a problem with it, so it looks good. I just don't know what they're gonna implement that little screen for.
Now, I know trying to anticipate what fans might think in terms of if it's not broke, don't fix it. Hey, that works. But try to make it look a little different. Try. It's almost as if, hey, stay within the box. Let's, bam, keep regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over. I'm like, okay, well, it's what it is. It's what it is. Also, I'm looking at some comments. Uh, Hold on. Yeah, it would be too much sense. That's true. I mean, it is what it is. Nintendo Capcom's already doing that with Monster Hunter. Mm. Okay. Yeah, keep the comments coming, guys, because I'm actually reading some of the stuff in the chat box. Okay? But, Nelson, shifting gears, out of the whole conference, it's funny that the two major things that Sony didn't show. They didn't show what the system looks like, and they didn't talk price.
Yep.
Okay? Why do you think that is? I mean, what's your analysis on it?
Well, they did speak about that they was only going to show the software for the time being to show you the potential of the
Okay.
PlayStation 4. The reason why, in my opinion, they didn't show anything about the look of it or the price of the actual console because these specs that they give us right here, they may change. We're still not sure if this is ever going to like be the final format. And the thing is, for them of the pricing to make the console, it might be a certain thing where they might change the price as well. Because normally, in my opinion, this console might be sold for $400. Let's just be real. But and then again, they might try to
Well, the
lower down the
rumor,
cost.
the Pirelli rumor right now is supposedly they're targeting 429 for the price. That's what is floating around the internet right now. So,
Hmm.
hmm. And someone said, made a good point. I don't remember if it was from IGN or Game Informer. If they put the specs out now, between now and the, well, supposedly November release, how much can it really change? And let's say they do start changing stuff this late in the game, they're going to open themselves up for things to go wrong. If these are your specs, stick with them and make it work, okay? Because at the end of the day, you need to deliver. Deliver, all right, this is what we're going to do. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to start pulling these features in and out. And like what happened with the PlayStation 3 fiasco. Take it, what you have, make it work. Deliver on it. That's that's the way Sony can save face in the United States per se, and kind of recoup a lot of the guys that migrated to the Xbox.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think about that, Nelson?
Well, I just hope that they do stay with these specs because then it gives us like a breather of what, in comparison of the Xbox 720 or the Durango, whatever they're gonna call it, and we'll see. Like we can actually compare to see what console will be in better tech of actually picking up with when it comes into to specs. But if they do change the specs late to the time that is to be released, because they have until December. To be honest with you, they have until December to get this shit out to the people. If they change it, that means they have to go back to the developers who has already done tech demos in the conference on those specs, and they have to rework their whole shit again, causing a massive delay in the company's part as well. So,
And that being said, Nelson, that being said, it's like, okay, you got now 145 companies who already committed to developing on the PlayStation 4, and what you don't want to do is, like, you brought up that good point. All right, they're developing on a certain set of specs, and then you go and change it on them. Like, all right, now, oh shit, we gotta go and do some more tweaking. Just what you have now, make it solid. Hey, it could be another thing. It could be a bait. They can say, hey, this is what our system can do, and then they're waiting for Microsoft, because I'm seeing the comments here. Microsoft, yeah, is indeed waiting, all right, and they probably change the stuff based off of, what Sony puts out there. Fair enough, but for the developer's sake, you got what 45 Japanese companies, among them are Arc Systems. You have 53 European studios that are committed. So for their sake, make it easier on them. They're the ones that are going to help drive your system. Okay, so the titles that are brought to the system with, okay, let's say the next Halo, let's say switching the Xbox side, the next Halo or whatnot, they start putting out all this tech and all this, the dev kits which are already out, right?
mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, we're going to add this. And then that could destabilize whatever that they were developing in early stages. So it's just something, you got something, just run with it. That's what I'm looking at. Okay? But what are your thoughts on that?
No, you're absolutely right. I just hope they don't fucking go back on their word and start changing things around so late in the game. I mean, they have from now, which is February, the beginning of the year, till the end of the year. So that's kind of a while. They have like 10 months to actually get this shit out. And that's crunch time now because
Yep.
Xbox is right around the corner with theirs, but they're waiting for E3 or they might be waiting for PAX East. They're not too sure yet. They might release software information probably by PAX East and actual hardware and physical thing by E3. So we can just
You know
hope.
what, Nelson? I'm going to call it. You're going to see what these systems look like by E3.
Oh yeah, that's
Bottom
guaranteed.
line. There's no way. E3 is like the WrestleMania for gaming and electronics and all that. That is the epicenter. That's where everybody's going to be watching. And that's when they're going to make the biggest dent. Okay? It's funny. Like, I'm reading one of the comments that they insisted Microsoft to announce their console first. And all of a sudden, look, Sony's trying to jump the gun. And Kaz Hirai, he was just like, why put your system specs, put your stuff out first and have the competition go and counter you? You know what I mean? Look like Sony reneged, and maybe they're concerned, who knows? But I think Sony now had to plant the mental seeds and like, hey, be aware of the PlayStation 4. You know what I mean? So even like on Eyewitness News here in New York, New Jersey, like they were talking about the Sony conference. Sony is trying to get that initial, ooh, wow, the curiosity factor into play. So it'll be interesting to see how things pan out. Per se, but what are your responses on that, Nelson? Before we shift to some of the titles.
I mean, like you said, they're very well likely trying to get a wow effect to every target audience. Like even if you saw the tech demo with the sculpting and the art drawing, they targeted like artists all around to use 3D modeling and engine rendering to the point that where they can control their animations and bring them to life without having to buy a high-end ass computer. So They're definitely trying to hit
Yes,
every
that's right.
fucking audience there is known to man to bring them from Microsoft or from Nintendo and jump on the Sony bandwagon. So let's see if they could keep this up.
This is
Keep
true.
it up. I would definitely like to see more from Sony, even though I'm not gonna be, oh, I'm a fanboy of Sony. Oh, I'm a fanboy of Microsoft. I have every console. I don't judge. I just judge by games, not by console.
Now, switching into before we switch to specific games and the content that was demonstrated at this presentation, the 3D models, and I'm seeing the 3D models was pretty dope though. Here's the thing: tech demos are different from the final product. And what I mean by this is, how many of you have seen when the Xbox 360 and the PS3 were initially announced, right? And they had that UFC tech demo that looked like that old guy that looked like a really beat up Hulk Hogan. They were showing his face and everything, and
Yeah.
by the time that actually makes it in game, it probably won't look the same. UFC was supposed to look like some CG ass shit, and it didn't come out anywhere near graphically close to that. It was actually a little more robotic, a little stiff. I mean, it came close, but nowhere near that. The tech demos and the 360 for me had lost points back in the day because of that. It's like, if you're gonna show something, make sure you deliver on it. Okay, because that probably was something that was straight. Like, for instance, it was Chuck Liddell versus somebody. I forget who it was, or Ortiz, and there was no like audience rendered. It was just like the ring. You had the two combatants. You had like the movement was so realistic. But then when the consoles came out, when it was time to produce, nothing came close. And that's why I'm always skeptical about the tech demos. I want to see what's actually on the system. Okay, like hell, have a dev kit hooked up or something, and have that controller hooked up, and actually show us. Like, they actually did a better job with the PS3 at that year's E3 when you actually saw them with the controller playing this stuff. You know, so it's neither here nor there for me. It was just like, all right, we're just announcing stuff. I wasn't too moved because I didn't see a system or a dev kit to say, hey, it's hooked up to this. This is what the system's capable of doing. You know? Do I make sense when I say that,
No,
Nelson?
you do. You absolutely do. The people actually want to see like actual footage or actual live feed of like their actual direct content or system actually being played or manipulated instead of just showing some probably some high-end PC just showing off video trailers in the back, just like manipulating shit. So I get what you're saying though. People
Yeah.
do need to see exactly what we
Yeah.
need to see.
Now, somebody threw a kidney punch or a rabbit punch. Aliens, okay? Everybody's up in arms about that. When they showed that original demo, that game looked fucking awesome. And then the final game comes out, and what the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean? Like, wow. Like, Angry Joe was pissed. Everybody was mad. You know what I mean? If you show it, deliver it. Okay, that's all I can ask for. That's gonna be my main thing for 2013. Okay, you say it's gonna do something, make sure it works. One thing I do give Platinum Games with Metal Gear Rising, when Konami had outsourced the project to them, the whole cutting and doing all that, Konami couldn't get it done right, but everything that they showed on the watermelon demo back in the day, at that year's E3, Platinum Games actually made it so you can do everything that Konami's engine was intending to do, and it worked. And it worked. So that's a good example on delivering on the gameplay mechanics and promises of your announcements. So I mean, I'm gonna be very on top of that stuff. And Microsoft, even though some people claim I'm a Microsoft fanboy, if they fuck up, and I got some shit to say about them later on in another podcast. But damn, follow through. That's all I'm asking for. But moving on to some of the titles. Nelson had mentioned Killzone 4. I hope it looks like that by the time the game comes out, because that looks epic. It looks like it's going to give possibly, and a lot of you guys like to compare Call of Duty and Halo. You can't. Call of Duty is a third-party title. Thus, it's going to be on multiple platforms. It's always going to sell more. If you're going to truly compare first-person shooters, it should be Killzone versus Halo, because flagship titles should be going head-to-head. And right now, that's looking really, really good. I'm praying and hoping that Killzone delivers on that demo that was shown. So, Nelson, what do you think about the Killzone 4?
Definitely a step up from what I saw from Killzone 3 when I had the game on the PlayStation 3. Like, graphically, oh my god, like the shit that you can do is just it's amazing. I just hope that it either looks that way or looks even better by the time like the actual game drops, because I was like a semi fan of Killzone. I have a couple friends who are Killzone fans. Like, I don't know if they're watching the stream or watching this, but the game is actually really good. And for it being its like exclusive title to the PlayStation console, and same thing with Resistance. Oh, I really do hope they stay
Yeah,
with this.
Resistance was badass. I like that.
Yeah, I really do hope they stay with this and like push it forward to another level. I really do.
Now, a good point made in the chat box that these are possibly enhanced renders. Again, there was nothing that showed a controller plugged into a dev kit controlling this stuff. Maybe when I walked away, because some of the conferences get a bit boring to me. Like the way that they presented it, they weren't like lively. It was almost as if I was in a boring ass history class. Make it pop, get some dancers, or remember when Microsoft had the Connect and they were showing people dancing and they had Usher's music and all that. Get it live. You know what I mean? It's these guys sound like they sit in a cubicle all day. Yeah, we're going to talk about our vision and get live, because this is a new system coming out. Get me excited to buy your shit. Okay, it's just, I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. But with the Killzone, if it's an enhanced render, we'll see. But there was one of the other games with the PS Move, Nelson. Do you remember where they had those cartoon characters that actually look like Wreck-It Ralph or like a Disney Pixar movie?
Oh,
And
yeah.
when we were in the Xbox Live party viewing this together, it was like, wow. Do you think they'll be able to capitalize and actually deliver graphics of that nature, Nelson?
I really do hope, because, like I said, the graphics that they showed is basically from a high-end computer. Mainly, like if you was to use maybe like a Apple machine or HP, like a computer that's specifically designed to make graphic rendering. So if they do that, it's gonna open a huge source of people to actually want to like start creating and rendering shit on the PlayStation 4. And if they're smart from Sony, they can make an application or a program or even a game where you can make your rendering from the PlayStation 4, take that rendering, transfer it over to the PC, and put it into a video. If they can possibly do
This is
exactly
true.
that, this will open up a shit ton of like, oh my god, a shit ton of content. Like, by
Hmm.
far.
Now, another thing that kind of caught my attention was the fact that now they're talking the Vita will be a vital asset to the PlayStation 4,
Mm-hmm.
and that taking your games on the go, yeah, you'll be able to play the same PS4 game on the Vita. Okay, now that's fine and good. I'm all for it. Microsoft is actually lagging behind because they have a nifty little device that can do some things to enhance the console's functionality. But Shinwar, remember he was saying how is it possible for a PS4 game to run on the Vita? Like, is the Vita kind of masking its power or something? Or what are your thoughts on that? Because I remember we were watching that particular point together and we were like, what the hell?
Well, from I because you was saying the same shit. You was kind of like confused, but from what I can gather, they might be using the similar thing that we're using now with like remote control transfer on the computer, where you're able to see the screen of the other person and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, they
Yeah.
must be talking about the uh actual source, video source, I should say, and they will be able to transfer it onto your PlayStation Vita, keeping the same
Yeah.
graphics, but the resolution will change because the screen is a little bit smaller. But I don't know how
I
that's.
figured. I figured
But
that.
I don't know how they're gonna implement this, because it's, think about it. Either one, they need to leave the console on at all times so they could get the exact feed that they need in order for the thing to stay connected and keep going, either on their cell phones or on their iPads or even the Vita. Or two, it's gonna be some type of program where you download like a file, and you'll be able to transfer it over to the Vita and then still continue it from there and keep progressing. I don't know how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see this. I mean, that would be a great thing if it actually works that way, But here's the thing: to take a PS4 game, which is gonna be on a 50 gig Blu-ray disc, and scrunch all of that into a Vita, then that's I find that hard to believe. But if it can be done, they were showing. I don't know if it was video or if they're actually playing it, but if that can be done, then Microsoft better watch out, because that's something that I know I would get in the mix with. Also, yeah, Sony was touting that they were going to do Pixar-like graphics on the PlayStation 2. What happened? I guess they overestimated their system, or did a lot of the boasting. And Nelson, did you hear the term blast processing? When was the last fucking time you heard blast processing?
Psst, wow.
Some of these kids probably weren't even alive when Genesis was touting blast processing on the Genesis or
Yeah,
so. You know what I mean? When you got Sonic running around in the commercial, and shit like Sega. You know what I mean? Like
that shit was
some
long
funny ass stuff.
ago.
And the funny response, yeah, Sega. But yeah, I mean, that's gonna be something. There's gonna be something. If somehow the Vita can pull that off, then I think the Vita will start selling a little bit more. And with the inevitable price cut that's coming, I'm hoping. I actually want to see the Vita have some life to it. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that works out. But now here's another thing. You saw like a tech demo of what Square and how Final Fantasy games are gonna look on the PS4. Again, that does not move me because it's just a tech demo. Do you remember that, Nelson?
I do. I remember the tech
Yeah,
demo.
yeah, they were showing, and it looked great. It looked great. Like some average children type shit. But if again, I don't want to keep doing the hamster's wheel. You got to show me what the dev kit is doing. I want to see that fucker hooked up, and show me something. All right, but now moving to the one thing that really kind of was bittersweet is seeing Bungie and the game Destiny. That looks nice. That looks epic. I hope it does really well. In the fact that it's an open world, like they weren't calling it a first-person shooter. They had another terminology for it. It eludes me right now.
I don't remember
Uh,
the word that they used, but I
yeah,
get what you're
but it,
saying
it, it
though.
was something. It was something for person shooter. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that Destiny, Nelson, that looks good. But Bungie should have had a little bit of class in not taking a shot at Microsoft, because had it not been for Microsoft publishing Halo and putting them on the map like that, I mean, and some people are going to disagree. Oh, Bungie was established before. Yeah, they were. But had it not been for the Xbox and Microsoft's push, and you saw Bungie's name everywhere. Bungie Halo, Bungie this, Bungie that. you know. And then they're like, well, it took 10 years and we finally get to develop on the PlayStation. All right, fine then. Fine. You're going to make good money doing cross-platform games. Good for you guys. But don't forget who helped you make it big. That's just what I got to say. What do you think about Destiny and, Bungie's shot at Microsoft?
Well, with Destiny, it's gonna be a very great game because they're mixing the element of Halo, of world, and also the likeness of Activision, which is basically they're good at Call of Duty. So you're gonna have a lot of different weapons, a lot of different character models from both Bungie and Activision, and the world that they're promising is ridiculously epic. So I really can't wait. But Bungie, in my opinion, this is just me. I'm not saying this as a fact. You don't criticize me or whatever. Bungie was established, yes, but it didn't take off in the direction that they wanted to. Their last big title before they hit Xbox was Marathon on PC. That was their biggest game that they had before they even came out with Halo 1 on the very first Xbox console. So if it wasn't for Microsoft, in my opinion, they wouldn't be as successful as where they're at right now. But that's just my opinion, though.
But, there's also an argument. Let's say Sony picked them up and they could have been, things could have gone a different way. But as history tells, Bungie got their real major, power surge from Microsoft and their backing. So it's just, it is what it is. It's bittersweet, but it's good for that studio. But you see, a lot of the key people from Bungie left Bungie to stay on with the Halo franchise with 343 Studios. Those of you who don't know that, I mean, if you see like the making of Halo 3 and how they were trying to wrap up their story and their contract for the 10 years was done, you see a lot of the major players from Bungie, who stayed behind to work on Halo 4. So it might be a different Bungie, but we'll see. And I'm looking forward to that Destiny. If it's like that open world, free first person experience that will make things like leveling up like Borderlands and the intense exploration of Fable, things of that nature, that's going to be a very engrossing. It's gonna pull you the fuck in. It's gonna turn into like a EverQuest type shit, but with first person shooting and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, Nelson, shedding more light on the Diablo coming to the PlayStation 4. Tell me you're excited, and tell me why you're excited for Diablo 4 coming to the console.
Well, Diablo 3, not 4. It hasn't been that long yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. You see, hey, this is live. I fuck up people. So sue me.
But
yeah, go ahead.
I'm definitely excited because one, I'm not a PC gamer, but when I did play my PC game, the very first game that I played was Diablo 2 on the PC, and that game blew me the fuck away, let me tell you. And I've always been saying ever since that day, I hope Blizzard Entertainment can make of their exact PC games to be played on a system so it could broaden its horizons with other users and have crossover play. Now with the PlayStation 4 and Blizzard coming together for this special partnership, that might and may be happening very soon. To the fact where they're actually talking about customizing the actual UI window of every bar, every health bar, every skill set, just like World of Warcraft on the PlayStation 3. So that means the PC and the PS4 will be getting simultaneous updates for when this comes out. So this is definitely one of the biggest things that Sony could have definitely picked up, and they done the smartest move by getting like one of the biggest name titles.
Now, Nelson, the question posed to us is Diablo 3 gonna be exclusive to the PlayStation 4? Did they talk anything about exclusives? Because it would not be wise for them to do that.
Right now,
but that's just my opinion.
Right now, we have no idea. To whoever stated that comment, we have no idea. For right now, this is only a temporary partnership. If at any time, I should say, Xbox 720 comes out, and they try to get the same offering on the table for Blizzard to do it with them, then Blizzard again will still always be third party, and they'll just bring it also to the Xbox 360. But we really don't know if this is an exclusive, a time exclusive, or a temporary partnership. We will just have to wait and see until November or December.
Yep. So now another thing I wanted to touch on. Now you notice with the new controller and that sensor bar that has a camera and all that. I smell Connect. What do you think?
It's definitely a Wii and a Kinect simultaneously strapped up. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know what to think of it,
Now,
but
why do you think Sony went this route with their controller?
I honestly don't know. Like, to be honest with you, I'm kind of like still on the fence of wondering why they chose this exact decision, or why they didn't stay with like the old retro look and keep it basic. But I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, because I mean it's wireless, and then you have a sensor bar. Now that makes me wonder what's the battery life going to be like? How is it recharged? I see there's a port underneath it. I mean, and the speaker that's in there. It's interesting because maybe you can talk to. Let's say you have a game, RTS, and you actually talk into the controller and give orders and things of that like that. That'd be cool. I'd definitely be down with that because you got certain games on the Xbox that already do this
Yeah.
with the Kinect. So that I think that's going to be rather interesting. But you know, for since the Mizzle's at work tonight, NFL fans, he was, I probably missed that portion of the tech lecture that they were having. That the GPU and the CPU, are they like together, or I mean, I was a bit confused in how they're explaining that. But if they're sharing resources, won't that make the system run a little warmer or so? I mean, that's just from my days as building PCs and whatnot. If you put too much shit close to each other on its cores, I mean, won't it run a bit warm? I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for Demenzo. I don't want to jumble his message, but we're probably going to revisit this topic probably next week or possibly tomorrow. Who knows? But just for right now, the specs seem impressive. They went smart and decided to go with the x86 for their processor base, so that it's easier to port things over. And the best thing they could have done was go that route, because now the advantage that the 360 had over the PS3 now goes away. You know, so you're probably gonna have PS3, Xbox, and PC games, being quickly ported back and forth. So Nelson, how do you think that changed the playing field going forward into the new generation?
Well, I definitely do know with making the CPU the way it is now, it's gonna make things a little bit slightly harder and easier at the same time. Because one, if you read the specs here for the CPU, it's a x86/64 AMD Jaguar 8 core processor. Now, the thing is, it's a very high-end CPU thing for the motherboard to have, yes, but also you make it very complicated, as what we brought up last night in the party chat. You make it very complicated for companies to actually get a full sense of what the potential of the console may be, because some of these specs right here, people have not even touched based on yet. Like also here with the GPU 1.84 teraflops. I have yet to know what the hell that is. I have no idea what a teraflop means. And then apparently an AMD next gen Radeon based graphics engine. So apparently they're making a new graphics card specifically for the console. We don't know how much space the hard
Well,
disk
the
is
same
gonna
is
have.
going to be happening with the Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, but by the time those systems come out, the PC graphics cards are still going to be more advanced. So it's like, even though they're trying to be ahead, by launch is going to become not obsolete, but they're going to be dated or so. But yeah, continue. I didn't mean to
Nah, it's
interrupt.
cool, but we don't know the hard disk space on it yet, just like the Xbox. The memory, GDDR5, 8 gigs of RAM. That's supposed to be able to push very, very far possibilities from what I hear. Of course, it still has its Blu-ray. I'm kind of disappointed that it's only at 6x speed, though. Kind of disappointed about that because the Blu-ray player that my mother has, the speed is like 10 times faster than that. So I'm wondering.
But you know why, though? I mean, that's to keep the cost down. Because if they get like a 24x reader, you're gonna pay for it. And I think Sony is trying to learn from their last mistake with the 599 US dollars. They're trying to keep it from alienating or actually turning off the customer. Remember, Nelson, you said it best. We're in a hard times
Oh
financially.
yeah.
Okay, the last thing anybody wants to do is just start throwing their money away, and they'll probably sit and wait till the price comes down. Right now, if they, with that Blu-ray, that's probably why they went with the 6 speed. That's just my thoughts on it.
That's very true. Let's see. Also, the in and output settings, super speed USB 3.0 port and an auxiliary port. So they definitely moved up in the USB department. The communications is still the
Which is
same,
good.
just like any other thing. They're using Bluetooth 2.1 EDR, which is very good range. And of course, the standard HDMI output, optical, digital, if you want to hook it up to your surround sound and stuff like that. So this is good and all, but like I said, not to shit on it to a point, but in the hackers' perspective with these specs, just saying, Sony, I'm not trying to shut you down right now, but if someone was to get your product, the final product, and they was to hack it and not care for it as a console, they could turn this shit into a high-end PC off the bat for a very low budget price. I'm just saying. The only thing they gotta do is just change the operating system
Mm.
and you're done. You have basically what I have, but stronger. So,
And the thing with that, I won't speak on hacking until the system is in hand somewhere, and we can see what we can and can't do on there. Because if it's more PC like, guess what? It's getting
oh
hacked.
yeah,
There's nothing you can do about it.
oh yeah.
Nothing you can do, Sony. Microsoft, same thing with this whole requiring online
Oh,
for games to work.
oh yeah.
You're gonna get hacked. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not gonna work out for you guys. Don't do it. Because if anything, if people don't get around it, probably won't buy the console. Because believe it or not, Nelson, I think the 360 did sell a lot because it got hacked in a way where people were running around online and they couldn't tell what was what. It pushed a lot of consoles, yes, but it hurt studios. And I think the studios pushed that whole initiative to make it where, hey, Microsoft had to keep tabs on not use games, but games in general. They have to like micro govern everything. And it looks like Sony is not going that route, but it remains to be seen because I guess they got to look at the bigger picture. The studios are really hurting right now, and the cost of things going up. So we shall see how Sony addresses this. We already know, but it's just a rumor of how Microsoft is handling that. But if the PS4 gets hacked, the system's not even out yet. So I think we're probably jumping the gun, but we'll see. Hold on, let me look at this comment. This means. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I do agree with the hackers, since the PS4 is a very much social media machine. What would this mean for Sony this time around too? Especially games that were released and played online. Let me scroll down. Just so you know, new Fighting Order fans, if you get in the chats, we actually look and read the stuff. So big up to you guys who are actually, giving us some comments here. But I mean, just all overall, Nelson, how do you think Sony did with delivering their message that the PlayStation 4 is coming.
Uh, it did okay. Don't get me wrong. It was okay. It was more like what would you call it? Like a corporation type meeting. It wasn't really for the casual gamers or for like a regular gamer in a sense. Like you have to know hardware, you have to know specs, you have to know the business idea that they had behind it. So it was more like a conference corporate meeting for 2 fucking hours that kind of bored the shit out of people. So like I said, I hopefully in E3 they do a little bit better on dazzling motherfuckers instead of me going to bed and literally cutting the shit off halfway to go back to fucking playing Metal Gear Rising. I didn't like that shit to be done like that. So
I agree. I guess for me, in closing, I agree with Nelson 100%. I was, I stuck it out. I mean, some of the times where I was bored and I went to play Metal Gear Rising or whatnot. I mean, Sony has to find a way. Just get people excited for the system. This monotone. Yeah, we're going to deliver this and we're going to deliver that and get people hyped. Hell, you know what they need to do when Microsoft starts the little conference? Get Brodus Clay and the Funkadactyls, and then Xbox on a roll. You know what I'm saying? I want to see
Ew.
some fun shit. Get it popping, and that's I guess the New Jersey ghetto stuff popping up, but it's just I wasn't too moved. I wasn't too excited. I was happy to see a lot of things, and it just, that PlayStation Share thing. I mean, it remains to be seen. For the first time, will say I'm highly optimistic, and I think Sony will do better this time around. It's hard to say if they'll still remain second, but again, it remains to be seen. And I believe their presentation, although it was boring with the monotone chatter that they were delivering, it was better, vastly better than when they were announcing the PlayStation 3, by far, because there was a lot of buffoonery going on with the PlayStation 3, and a lot of them people should have been fired after that. You know what I mean? Same thing with the whole aliens and how you're gonna display something, and people should be fired, sued. There should be lawsuits. There should be a whole lot of shit going on. But not trying to go off on a tangent. Sony, I hope they do better this time around. It looks interesting, but I'm not moved until I see something working in a tech demo dev kit. Bottom line. But remains to be seen. Look forward to E3. So, Nelson, in closing, do you have anything to add before we log off?
Basically, for the viewers who are watching, we do thank you very much watching this podcast and keeping up with current events that we be doing with the streams and stuff like that. But just always stay following. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, which was NMO's beginning channel, and now it's more of like an NMO TSG NFO. It's a whole collaboration thing now. So just stay connected with us, and you'll get the most and latest information right from us.
All right, and before we log off, make sure you check out Steph to Death Tough Nerd Toys LLC. Check out his site, and make sure you're subscribing. The more partners or the more subscribers, the better off we have to approach for partnership, because this thing is gonna get bigger. It's gonna get better. So like cancer, it's like we're the cancer of gaming in a good way. We're gonna affect everybody with positive information and be rebels at the same time, a podcast for gamers by gamers. We're not going to sit there and pull that Sony bullshit and yeah, we're going to do that. Nelson, let me ask you this. With the way that they were pulling this high school history class style approach to telling people what the system is going to be like, do they really, are they gamers themselves?
No, I can honestly tell you, none of them. Probably
I
except
think it's
for
more like, they're workers, they're businessmen that don't play the shit. Like, okay, this is my job to tell you that the PlayStation 4 is going to be awesome. But You don't seem like a gamer to me.
Yeah, the only exception was Ono, the only one who actually plays video games. Everyone else is either a very, very, very casual gamer to the point where they have children that plays their products, or they just assume that they're gaming because they know what the fuck like they're talking about when they really don't. They're just reading off of a prompter or whatever their boss gave them or something like that.
Oh, they were reading off a prompter though. Shinwar caught it, but but last note, Ono, big ups. Jackie Chan, if and hopefully Shinwar's not lying to me, but Ono as an English coach, and he's doing much better, much better. Ono, keep up the good job because hopefully when we see you again at Comic Con, we can have more conversations without a translator. Okay, so without further ado, that's just our little response. If you have comments, please leave them below for the YouTube once this goes up on YouTube. And we'll see you next time on a new Fighting Order gaming podcast show hosted by Nelson Rios and Alex Lexis. We'll see you next time on our show.